is finally here, Jabba the Hutt. In this video, we're going to be going over his kit a little bit, talking about what it might be able to do both in PvP and PvE. And for what I've seen, it looks like he's going to be taking the PvE content by storm. So just getting a look at the graphic, he looks awesome. Most of the graphics do, so that probably doesn't say too much about what they can do. He does have, interestingly enough, a few funny tags. He has Bounty Hunter. I'm guessing that's just for the fact that he has a contract. We'll look into that a little bit later. And he also has the Smuggler and Heart Cartel tags. Sometimes these tags are important because not only for their functionality as a character to work as with their own kit, but a lot of times there's other functions within other kits where other characters get bonuses for having more Bounty Hunters or more Hut Cartel or more Smugglers on the team. So a lot of that is important. I am happy to see that he's Dark Side. I really wasn't doubting that he was going to be. But at the same time, with him having a mixed faction, I didn't know if they were going to try to write him off as like in the middle so that he can also work in the mixed TB or something like that. But anyways, he's a powerful crime boss who uses the unique buff Hired Muscle to give him the upper hand. Really not that unheard of to give their own abilities or uniques or buffs or whatever with new characters. There will be no bargain with this mighty Hutt and the existence of his ravenous Rancor pet. We are going to see the Rancor once again in Galaxy of Heroes, and I like what they did with it. It's not just going to be on Annihilate, similar to Seize. There's going to be actually other things that happen when he does it. And he employs the most notorious scum in the galaxy. As you can see, he is not requiring, but he has the best synergy with these 6 characters they've listed below. I'm guessing, at least as far as the future goes, Chrysanthemum, Bausch, and Skiffguard are probably going to be the best in all game modes, and then the 5th character is probably going to rotate out depending on what you're doing, whether you're in the middle of a raid, whether you're in the middle of TB, or if you're in GAC, because the Omicrons, they really start to change that up, and I think we're going to find different viability in different areas. So they give a lot of insights to his kit and whatnot, and a lot of this is kind of interesting, but we can really glean a whole lot from what he can actually do himself. So Jabba's going to be taking up the ally slot, which we actually kind of used to joke about this if he ever came to the game, that he would take up 2 slots, and that's very much what he's doing. Pretty much this means you can't use him as a borrowed ally if you were ever wanting to do that, so you actually have to unlock Jabba to play with him, and you can't use any summoned characters at the same time. There's just too much going on the screen, and honestly, he looks pretty good. He looks pretty darn good. We get to see Crumb there as well, so that's very nice. His basic ability, and we kind of saw this coming. We knew that and they told us this, that when he was going to be coming out, he was not going to be a non-attacker character like 3PO or Hoda that will just disappear when you kill the rest of everyone else off. And this is actually really important, because if this wasn't the case, then you could just kill the 4 ads, however strong or weak they are, and the Galactic Legend disappears. So you will actually have to kill Jabba. He will be able to do other things without his allies. But his first attack is called the weakest Hut Cartel ally to assist. This is typically pretty good because your attackers are normally your less tanky, and this is something you can typically control depending on where the stats of your characters are. Dealing 10% more damage for each active Hut Cartel ally, which hopefully that is all of them. And then Bounty Hunters and Smugglers also gain protection up 10%. So that's what his ability will always do regardless of whoever does it. Whether he's counting because he has Retribution from Grief, or if he's getting called to assist with Boss, or whatever the situation is, he's always going to do that. He's always going to call someone else to assist, someone who's vulnerable, and he's like, get in there, do my dirty work for me. And then if it's his own turn, he actually does a lot of other stuff. And this is pretty balanced by the fact that, it has to be on his turn. He inflicts blind on target enemy. He gains 6% ultimate charge, which is about what Galactic Legends typically get. And the weakest Hut Cartel ally recovers 30% protection. And then Hut Cartel allies gain protection up 30% for 2 turns. So this is very good. This kind of counteracts a lot of the Lord Vader synergy, because most of his damage is built off of max health with dots, and protection up is also built with dots, so it gives a little bit of a safeguard on his basic alone. He does have 6 Zetas like all Galactic Legends do, but I guess that's interesting. His first special, dispel all debuffs on allies and inflict speed down for 2 turns on all enemies. Other Bounty Hunter, Hut Cartel, and Smuggler allies gain Hired Muscle for 2 turns. So first up, speed down is really important, especially against a certain Galactic Legend whose entire team cannot lose turn meter, and also known as JMK. This is really the only way to slow them down, quite literally. A lot of the other Galactic Legends, you can at least reduce the turn meter on their allies so that you can start to catch up, but JMK doesn't allow that, and this is kind of the workaround for being able to do it. He also gives Hired Muscle, which is 30% plus tenacity, immune to daze and fear, while there are some characters out there that have irresistible debuffs like Lord Vader, if you're using Darth Vader or someone like that under the team, this is going to start to counteract him as well. I believe we also saw a bit of tenacity on Leia Organa, or rather Bush's kit. And then Hired Muscle also does specific things for specific characters. Attackers are going to be able to assist, dealing 70% less damage, which I guess you're looking more so on the effect of what the basic does. Again, this is probably a call out to Bush, because 70% less damage. I mean, this is around how much damage the Geonosians or Mon Mothma are doing when they assist. It's not a lot, but it's more so what does the effect of that basic do. Tanks are immune to critical hits. That is very nice. And healers and supports on attack always recover 10% health and protection. So that's kind of similar to Rally in a sense. And then when it expires, it provides different benefits as well to that character's faction. So while you have it attached, this new buff, Hired Muscle, you're getting an immediate kind of payoff for what it's going to do. But even when it goes away, you're going to get something as kind of a parting gift. And again, we see speed up here for smugglers. This is very nice. Again, this is how you counteract JMK. JMK doesn't let you gain turn meter, so you need to get in speed up, and especially on Galactic Legends, that's going to make a big difference because they have such a high speed pool. Hutt Cartel, we're going to gain advantage for 2 turns, and Bounty Hunters will gain defense penetration up for 2 turns. And it's worth noting, a lot of Jabba's allies are going to have more than one of these tags. So, for example, you're going to have your Bush, who's going to have both Hutt Cartel and Bounty Hunter, so she's going to get to double dip here with advantage in defense penetration. We'll be able to see that in a few places. So that is going to make a credible difference here. Crum's Revenge. So we actually get an attack from the whatever species that little guy is. Looks like he's throwing some type of thermal detonator there. Dispel all buffs, deal special damage, and inflict buff immunity on target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled. So undispellable buff immunity is very helpful, especially on a recurring taunter such as GK. Or really any taunter that JMK has under his team. It's going to be really important. This is going to be less effective on, say, your Lord Vader, because he's going to instantly apply Mark. And Mark really doesn't care about buff immunity because it's also a debuff. Inflict a thermal detonator on all enemies for 2 turns. Inflict an additional thermal detonator on all enemies for 2 turns for every 20% ultimate charge that Jabba the Hutt has. Whenever a thermal detonator from this ability expires, all Bound Harris, Hutt Cartel, and Smaller guys gain 2% mastery until the end of this counter. This ability can't be resisted. So a lot of really huge things in here. We've already seen the thermals. We've already heard that the thermals are going to be having other effects outside of just, getting attached onto an enemy and blowing up. They're actually going to be crucial for other mechanics that Jabba has. The fact that this can't be resisted is very important. Thermals in general, they also can't be dispelled. That's something that they changed in the game a long time ago. And then the added mastery. This is something that almost every single Galactic Legend has, where they have a limitless amount of mastery they can stack. I think Jedi Master Luke is the only one that's really capped. It's important for them to keep up. If he didn't have this, he wouldn't be able to keep up with Lord Vader stacking, or JMK, or SLKR, maybe even not to the extent that they currently do. But this, at least at a bare minimum, is going to give him a fighting chance. Now, his leadership is going to be just this monstrous text, as most of them are. Bounty on his Hutt Cartel and smaller allies, they have 30 speed, 30 mastery, rather 30% and 30% health. Damage Hutt Cartel allies receive is decreased by 30%. This is huge. So typically, a Galactic Legend will not give a flat damage reduction to their whole team. They'll typically give it to themselves via their Galactic Legend unique, which I guess we're going to comment on later, but we're not really going to talk about it that much. They just do it to themselves, and we've seen this a little bit with, I believe, Starkiller has a funny way of doing this if the enemy has a debuff, and I think Dad Bod Boba actually gives a smaller amount to his entire team as well. But 30% across the board is going to make a noticeable difference for a lot of characters out there, especially Maul, for example, who attacks 5 turns in a row. Each one of those hits is going to be decreased by 30%. At the start of the battle, other Hutt Cartel allies gain a stack of my kind of scum for each Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler until the end of the battle. She can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Jabba the Hutt is immune to taunt effects and can't be targeted while an ally with my kind of scum is present. So very similar to Mon Mothma. You really can't get around to Jabba himself, which makes sense too. I mean, that's pretty lore accurate. You have to get through his goons to be able to get to him. Jabba the Hutt gains 3% ultimate charge whenever an ally with my kind of scum starts their turn or uses a special ability. If an ally with my kind of scum and it defeats an enemy, Jabba the Hutt gains 6% ultimate charge. This is going to actually be pretty important, having used a special ability. Lord Vader, right now, in the context of the game, has a way to get a locked ability block out for 5 total turns. So that is going to severely slow Jabba down. And really, it might even slow Jabba down without the current Datacron for him. While enemies are inflicted with a thermal detonator, health and protection recovery effects are reduced by 50%. Again, this is a pretty clear call to JMK. Whenever he has an ally assist at a turn, which is very common, I believe they recover 2% health and protection. That's now down to 1%. That's going to slow him down significantly. At the start of each encounter, after the first bounty hunter, Hutt cartel and smaller allies gain critical damage up, damage immunity, and offense for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, prevented, or copied. This really, to me, like, this is good in general, but this screams TB. We all knew that Jabba was going to have him placed in TB. That was kind of almost told right up front. But at the start of each encounter means that you're going to pretty much get this at the start of every single wave. And that's going to be able to allow them to survive the initial barrage. I'm guessing that this new game mode, or the new TB that's coming out, is going to be balanced for the new mods. And what I mean by that is every character at a minimum is going to be 400 speed. So having 2 turns of indispellable damage immunity, which can't be prevented or copied, is going to be a huge help in general, but also specifically in that. When Jabba the Hutt in his leader slot, the following contract is active. So similar to Bounty Hunters, actually almost identical to Bounty Hunters, he has a contract. While buffed with my kind of scum, which they're going to get through a number of ways, deal damage with an attack to enemies with thermal detonators 20 times. Enemies must be debuffed with thermal detonators before the start of the attack to count. So that's similar to Django's payout, where you can't throw a thermal detonator on the same attack and then that does damage and for that to count. They already have to have the thermal detonator for that attack to be a part of it. During raids, the contract is fulfilled immediately. So this is really kind of cool to see. A lot of times with Galactic Legends, if not all the time, they've really ignored what they can specifically do in raids. Like, I know SOKR is very great, but I don't credit that to CG. I think that was more so on accident of what he's capable to do. Like C, for example, he has to link 2 characters to be able to get contract, and the Rancor raid doesn't really give him that option most of the time. So you're kind of stuck with him just being garbage. And this is a specific call out to them trying to make Jabba good in the raids. All Bounty Hunters allies have their payouts activated, and Hutt Cartel and Smuggler gain 25% defense penetration, which is good all around. Offense and potency, allies with my kind of scum have 55% master for each stack, and recover 20% protection at the start of their turn. Again, really helpful mechanics for getting around dots and whatnot. At the start of each encounter, Hutt Cartel allies have their cooldowns reset. Bounty Hunter, all the factions are revived and recover 60% health and protection. So this is really a clear call out to TB. So even if you start losing characters, you're going to be able to get them back in the next round. Jabba the Hutt ignores taunt during his turn. At the start of his turn, he dispels stealth from all enemies. Whenever Hutt Cartel ally is stunned, it is dispelled and they gain offense up for 2 turns. So this is pretty broken. They essentially have how ferocity works, where if you get stunned, you just dispel it and get more ferocity. But now you get offense up. If Jabba the Hutt is not in the allied leader slot, allies can't gain bonus turn meter. If he is in the allied leader slot, whenever an enemy with less than 100% turn meter gains bonus turn meter, Hutt Cartel's allies gain 7% turn meter. Limit once per turn. Whenever a Hutt Cartel ally loses turn meter, they gain bonus protection, 20%, stacking until the start of the next turn. So this is kind of a way, and most Galactic Legends have a way to either punish or just neglect turn meter entirely. Hux with SOKR stops it entirely. Rey herself will gain mastery when the enemy gets turn meter. They're always kind of working in ways to make sure that turn meter manipulation doesn't just completely destroy a Galactic Legend. So whenever an enemy gains bonus turn meter, Hutt Cartel also gains turn meter to be able to keep up with that. And then whenever they have turn meter stripped for them, similar to how SLKR will get tankier, you are going to get bonus protection. So again, this is a way really from keeping them from being off-meta counters by things that would just normally run circles around them, like Emperor Palpatine. He has the Galactic Legends Zeta. Everyone kind of knows what that is. It's reduces damage and stuff. This just means you can't have a summon. We already talked about that. And now his payout. Payout's pretty good. Whenever he receives his contract, he gains 40% mastery, and all his ultimate charge gains are doubled for the rest of the battle. So he almost has 2 ults with this, and I'll look into this animation with the Rancor. Looks pretty darn good, and we were a little worried that it was just going to take way too long to get there. It does look like the older ultimates, or rather just not the JML and C ultimate, where it can be reused again and again and again. So having his ultimate charge doubled from the contract is very nice. It does require 12 ultimate materials like the last 2 Galactic Legends. And as his ultimate charge says, he gains 3% ultimate charge whenever an ally with my kind of scum starts their turn to use a special ability. I think that's already repeated in the kit. If they defeat an enemy or Jabba uses basic ability, he gains 6% ultimate charge. So yeah, a lot of this has already been said. And now, as far as the ultimate ability goes, instantly defeats target enemy, and they can't be revived. Again, this is very similar to how C functions right now, except for he'll take out 2 that are linked, assuming they are linked. But Jabba, on top of that, Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies recover 100% health and protection, and Hutt Cartel allies gain 50% turn meter. There will be no bargain on Galactic Legends. So what it's going to do to Galactic Legends, if you target them, let's say they're your last target, or you just want to go right for them, or they're, R2 does this thing on Rey, and that's your only option. Inflict Armor Shred, or Dispel buffs, inflict Armor Shred until the end of the encounter, and deal true damage to target enemy, and stun all other enemies for 1 turn. So this has a lot of value, even if you're hitting a Galactic Legend, and it even does more stuff down here. And there will be no bargain on Rey bosses, deal true damage to target enemy equal to 30% of Jabba's max health 5 times, and stun all characters which can't be resisted. So the ultimate ability is bringing a lot to the table. Not only are you getting insta defeat, but you are getting health and protection recovery, and you even have kind of an option, almost similar to Jedi Knight Luke, when you're hitting a raid boss or a Galactic Legend, it being able to do a lot of stuff. So I think the kit is fantastic. It's very clear to me that this is aimed to be a PVE Galactic Legend if we ever had one. He's going to be fantastic in all the raids, both the ones we have now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new one sometime in the distant future. They obviously want to get the TB out of the way, where he is the most crucial Galactic Legend to have, more so than SLKR, and he's going to be fantastic in TVs. I do think there are too many callouts, and maybe I'm wrong, we've seen this before, but there seem to be a lot of callouts specifically being able to beat JMK. I don't know if he's going to be able to beat all Galactic Legends. He certainly isn't going to hold that well on defense. I mean, he'll hold as well as any Galactic Legend does, but there doesn't seem to be enough handicapping things in here overall of a lot of abilities. It's more specific callouts to, like I said, the things that we see with JMK, things to do with bonus turn meter. I don't have any hunches right now, but it does seem like there's going to be a way to work around him. He's going to be good. I think with his lowest his requirements are going to be, he's definitely going to be worth it for anyone that's going after him. Where he sits in the priority list right now is still yet to be seen. But yeah, I think what you're going to get here is you're going to get the best PvE Galactic Legend along with a solid JMK killer. And I think that is going to make it up for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you love him, if you hate him, if you think CG got it right, I think they got it wrong. Love to hear it. Until the next time, stay awesome.